Right, we should be live. Let me quickly check it. Absolutely. All right, let me quickly share the stream in the Discord. There we go. All right. Let's wait a couple of seconds for some people to roll in, and then we can start the stream. Let me also put on some music. One second. Here we go. This is a bit loud. Put it a bit down. There we go. All right. Well, let's start with looking at Nasdaq. If you haven't watched the video that I put out this morning, I'm gonna keep it brief right here, because if you really want the in-depth analysis, go watch the video of this morning. But one thing I want to point out, we got a dump on Friday to take out all the liquidity that we left behind the whole week last week. And from there, we tapped into this support and resistance zone, also in correlation with this demand zone over here, of course. And from there, we started our buy model. I pointed out that the technical target of this buy model will be this high. So I'm gonna search and look for longs until we have taken out that high, and maybe we can even trade towards all this trend liquidity left here, and maybe even all-time highs. Knowing that, let's zoom in on the lower time frame, because that is where the magic happens on the Nasdaq. I had this level in my chart. This is just your first hold that you want to look for support to continue your trend. We got there after rejecting the technical target of our internal buy model, because if you look at this, then we're just in a buy model since London opened. So the technical target of our local buy model will be this high. It's also pretty much all your liquidity left behind before we're gonna trade towards this high. So it is a really important and interesting high to trade towards. We looked for support on this place after rejecting that high and making an SMT. Sometimes an SMT like this, as we all know if you trade the Nasdaq, it's a divergence between the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq. It can often mean It is gonna be a rotation point for the market to trade towards the opposite side. And for a lot of people, that is gonna be the case, especially when we're gonna break local structure towards the downside right here. We are getting in a lot of sellers right now because people are expecting a lower high and a new lower low towards maybe all this trend liquidity we've been building up this morning. Do I think this is gonna happen? For me, no, because we are still in this buy model. Our technical target isn't hit yet. And this can also just be a way to get in more sellers to eventually take out this high. It's just going to be a way for the market to build more liquidity and enter the positions, of course. Haha, let's go, Trader Cage. Hello, sir. So knowing that, I want to look at longs. Maybe we can look for a long this macro because we're gonna put in a really nice swing low here. Of course, we'll have to wait for the candle close, but it is looking like we are getting a nice swing low here. So let's see if we maybe can get some nice manipulation. Taking out this low because people are gonna start buying here. This isn't the most convincing high, I must say. Not really wicks, not far above the high, but people are gonna start buying here. Oh. So let's see if we can get some local manipulation in the price. I mean the local range we're building right now. Just have to wait for the next macro and see what happens there. One more thing I want to point out. We have this breaker block right here. Because this was your first hold that should have brought you towards new highs. But because we had this big sell-off on Friday, it's gonna become your breaker block. And we can reject from it and create more bearish price action. So we'll have to wait. If we're gonna reject from here and create new lows, then we can use, then it's a bearish confluence. But I'm more looking towards it as becoming support when we gain it and a confluence to trade towards this high. So a thing to keep in mind. Let's quickly get rid of this song because this is terrible. There we go. If anyone in the stream right now has a chart request, feel free to put it in the chat and then I will look at that chart for you and hope to help you in some way. I want to take a look at Nvidia because we called out a really nice bottom back in the day when we were live streaming daily as well and really starting to take the YouTube game seriously. Well, if you know, you know. Pretty great bottom with the technical target of your, well, the bottom you put in being your range high slash all-time high. There was a nice trade entry to be taken right here. Easy 50% gain. With some runners, you will have netted a lot more than that. But of course, eventually, the market has to cool off and collect more liquidity from the opposite side before it can continue the trend up again. That is what I see is happening on Nvidia right now. We made equals when we try to make a new high from here. So that's interesting to look at. Let's zoom in on that in a bit. I can see this is just a big support zone Let's refine it to this. Okay. Wow. We don't really have any 3-day. Let's see if you daily structure pools. Okay, we have a daily structure pool in here. Right here. Do I dare to say that this is a structure pool? No. No, I wouldn't see this as a structure pool. I would call this your daily low. So let's map that in. Daily low to hold. So to continue your daily uptrend, you want to see a close above your daily low, of course, because if we're gonna get candle closes below this daily low, your daily structure has shifted to bearish instead of bullish, so you're gonna expect a lower high and a new lower low. So we want to see this low being left open. A sweep like this is fine. It doesn't matter if we're gonna get a reaction up again. So right now on the daily, this is gonna be your do or die on Nvidia. Otherwise, we can look towards this zone. This zone is in combination with your old all-time highs to the left. So of course, it is a really interesting point to look at. And otherwise, maybe this struggle we had before taking our all-time highs. This is the last place where sellers have tried to push price down, but the buyers finally took over and we created new highs. So this is also an interesting zone to point out on Nvidia if we're gonna fail to hold here. Because right now we want to see Nvidia go up from here. Let's zoom in a bit. The lower time frame, this is gonna be your mid time frame, I must say. It is your high to gain because it's probably a 4-hour as well. Yeah. So on the 4-hour, to get a confirmation for the rotation towards this high, you want to see this high get gain, and then you can trade towards these highs. Right now in the lower time frame, I see this is a liquidity hunt. So no equals there. So this was just manipulation for the market to take out all the buyers from this move, and then once again all the buyers from this move. So what does this tell me? This tells me, okay, we had two really nice manipulation legs here. The first one being here, so they can fill up a lot of orders right here, and then they can fill up a lot of orders over here, and then once again at this low. So we have had 3 manipulation moves where they could fill up their orders. Let's make it clean in the chart with some arrows. First point to fill up orders, second, and your third point. That in combination with this really nice demand zone we have over here, and the liquidity sweeps, and of course your daily low to hold, we can probably expect, if we're gonna gain this high, for Nvidia to trade towards new all-time highs again. So this is looking really nice on Nvidia right now. We could maybe expect some more upside from here, but time will tell. This is your high to watch. From there, we can expect a higher low and trade towards these higher highs. So I'm willing to look for an entry right there. So that is Nvidia. Once again, if people in this stream have any chart requests, feel free to drop them in the chat. That way, because you have some interaction in the chat, we're gonna get boosted in the algorithm and we can share this stream with more people. And of course, I hope I can help you with your chart request. If not, I'm just gonna continue analyzing some stocks. All right. Micro strategies. I talked about this yesterday as well. So I don't really want to get into the high time frame analysis again. I want to say it is down until proven otherwise. We are just trading down. Um, Still no reason to look towards the upside. We are in a place where we could maybe look for some upside again. This breaker block, we can get rid of it because it is not relevant anymore. We use this and we use this. Let's get rid of that as well. Just clean up the chart a bit. This can be a zone to maybe create new highs again. If this was enough liquidity for the market in combination with this and your local liquidity hunt right here to create new highs again, um, we could see something like this, gain off your structure and create new highs, but time will tell. If not, our next POI will be these lows, triple equals, really nice place to look for a long again. If not, we're gonna look towards the old range we had before MicroStrategies really blew up. So this is also a really interesting zone to look for longs again. So this is gonna be a level for me to watch. Is it the most convincing level? No. But of course, if you get local confirmations, I know I have to be ready. We're not here to predict. We are here to put in PY zones in the chart and react when we get our confirmations. So that is micro strategies. No. No. We're gonna get into the lower time frame as well, because maybe today something interesting is gonna happen. This is your mid time frame high to gain. If we're gonna gain this, you can expect a rotation towards this high, and maybe you can continue your trend from there. Your high time frame high to gain is all the way over here. This is your high time frame high to gain right now. So this local time frame gain can result to trade towards this high, and if we're gonna gain this high, we can expect a rotation towards this high, vice versa towards new all-time highs again. So this right now is your local high to watch. Let's put it in. MTF to gain. Of course, a gain on this level doesn't tell us anything. It is just gonna give us some local confirmations for upside. I have this, let me refine it a bit. This supply zone in my chart. Maybe we're gonna reject from this and get a short entry towards new lows again. But if we look at the open already is way more bearish than bullish. So it can also mean that micro strategies from here is just gonna create new lows because we have taken out some nice local liquidity. So locally speaking, for micro strategies, not really anything relevant to talk about right now. Microsoft. Alrighty. Yeah, this is an interesting one. Higher time frame. This has enough. We called this bottom as well, but from there we have just been pumping and pumping and pumping. Also, after all-time highs, we kept pumping for over 3 months. So right now it is time for the market to cool down a bit. Right now we can also see that is what is happening right now. The market is cooling down and collecting some liquidity from the lows again. If we're gonna look at the structure, this is a structure pool, and this could be your structure pool. If I just purely look at price action and not at the candle structure formation we have, I would say this is a higher low and then we created a higher high. What does this mean? On a daily, this is your first low you want to hold to continue your daily uptrend. But as you can see right here, we swept it, but last Friday we closed below this low, indicating that our daily trend right now is more bearish than bullish. So what do you expect? A lower high and a new lower low. Of course, on your weekly, 3-day, monthly, your structure is still up. And that just gives local confirmations the price still is not ready to trade towards the highs again. We're just gonna need more liquidity from the lows. Well, we have been taking some liquidity from the lows for a while right now. This was a first PY zone for me, that in combination with your daily low, excuse me. But as you can see, we tried to make a new high, we failed, putting in a new lower high, a lower low, we manipulated the high, which just means our lower high has been moved from here to here, and we created a new low. So on the high time frame, if you look at your daily structure, this is your high to break right now. We're gonna need more liquidity from the lows. Let me get rid of this because that is just a way for the market to get in buyers right here. We got in the buyers, we took out the buyers. This could have been your manipulation move to maybe create new highs again. Well, it wasn't. Once again, it was a way to get in buyers into the market, take out the buyers and fill up orders again. So maybe the same thing that is happening on Nvidia, I just talked about right now, is happening on Microsoft. Because we took out this really strong liquidity point in combination with a nice support zone and your local manipulation right here. If we're gonna put in the arrows in our chart once again and quickly switch to the Nvidia chart, it maybe means the same thing on Microsoft. As you can see, took out a nice liquidity point, got in buyers, local manipulation once again, and maybe from here we can create new highs again. Looks pretty much the same. Do we have any confirmation yet we can look higher? No, definitely not. Is this a place where the market can move up? Sure, we have a small demand zone over here. So we could hold support here, of course. Once again, a nice liquidity point being taken out. Pretty much all the liquidity from this liquidity we have built up right here has been taken out. So your extreme liquidity of this up move is gone. But as you can see, we don't really have any structure in between because it was a quick sell-off on Friday. So for that we'll have to zoom in. Okay, we can see we have this 50-minute high, maybe even a 30-minute, no, 50-minute. Is this 50-minute high gonna tell us anything? Yes and no. This 50-minute isn't gonna tell you anything if we're gonna zoom out, of course, because on the daily we broke structure to bearish and we have a daily high to gain here. But it can tell us something different. Locally our trend has switched up. Maybe this local uptrend can bring us towards this daily high, and then we can gain this daily high and from there put in a new high low for a new higher high. So that is a scenario to watch right now on Microsoft. If not, you can see the arrows. The end of the trend liquidity is of course an interesting place to look at. Also, there is still a small demand zone at the bottom there. to look for support. If we're gonna fill to hold here, of course, you can see the next zone, and from there, if we're gonna fill to hold here or at this last liquidity point before this breaker block, then your old all-time high in combination with this breaker block is gonna be the last zone to look for upside again. But right now locally it is getting really interesting. So let's maybe see if today we can get some confirmations to trade towards this high locally, and from there, if we're gonna gain this high, expect a new higher low and a higher high. Once again, for everyone that is in the stream right now, feel free to put a chart request in the chat. I would love to help you on that. But for me, to take any orders, to place any orders on Microsoft, I want to wait for this high time frame break, because then we have a good confirmation we can look higher. This is just a local indication we can maybe get that gain, and the market makers are filling up their orders. Let me quickly skip this song. Alright, there we go. So that is Microsoft, looking interesting. Let's look at AMD, because AMD is just a... why is this so loud? Alright. Give me 1 minute, I will be back. I have to put on a t-shirt, it's getting really hot in my room. Alright. Let's look at AMD. The OGs will remember our long call on AMD. And from there, we got a really nice pump up of almost 150%. Right now, the market is cooling off on a pretty logical level for me. This music is really loud. Let me turn it down a bit. There we go. That is better. Alright. AMD is cooling off at a pretty logical level. As I said in all the previous charts, a stock in this case, it is impossible to keep pumping up in one move. As you can see right here, we have a pretty rapid move up. We have to cool down at some point. Well, AMD was at a pretty important point. We had these equals over here. It is also your extreme liquidity before taking your all-time high. Let's put it in the chart. All-time high. So this was a logical place for AMD to start cooling off and collecting more liquidity from the lows. For me, this was the first zone to look at, because this was your first demand in this up move. As you can see, we got a reaction from it towards the upside. Just like all the other charts, getting in buyers. Right here, oh, wrong tool. Right here, we took out all those early buyers, indicating maybe market makers are filling up their orders right here, just like on Microsoft and on Nvidia. So this could be our first signal, but we never got a confirmation. So we're still down until proven otherwise, and the market is telling us we're gonna need more liquidity from the lows. There's still an interesting liquidity point right here, just above this demand. So it would be nice if we're gonna get a sweep of this liquidity, gain the high, and then we can expect maybe some more upside. Once again, if this is not enough and we can't get local confirmations, we have this liquidity point right here, and you see this arrow. This arrow is here because if you look to the left, you can also draw it all the way to here. You can see this is just a strong support and resistance zone from the market. As you can see, support, support, resistance, resistance, support, 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 resistance, and right here, support. So this is just a really strong level. So this could also be a zone to look for continuation. If that is not gonna happen, we still have this big zone over here. So right now on AMD it is down until proven otherwise. Or your mid time frame, this will be your high to gain. This gain can bring us towards this high. If we're gonna gain this high, it can bring us towards this high. And if we're gonna gain this high, let's zoom out, it can maybe give us the trigger towards new all-time highs. So the PY zones on AMD are mapped out. We just have to wait for local confirmations. And from there we can maybe trade towards these highs and even towards all-time highs, getting in some nice percentages on our portfolio. Let's continue the list. Meta. And after that I'm gonna do Apple. Then we pretty much covered the biggest stocks, the 5 biggest stocks right now. And then I'm gonna end the stream because I still have to eat lunch and I want to go to the gym. So then it's just gonna be a quick little stream if nobody has any chart requests. And then I will end it. Meta. Alright, let's look at what is happening right here. Pretty much the same case as every other stock. We created new all-time highs, and from there we are cooling down a bit. On Meta it is not really cooling down, it is just putting in a higher low for a new higher high. So we will have to look for local entries. Meta tapped into this zone. This is a refined demand zone. If you want to draw it in like the bigger picture, this is your demand zone where Meta tapped into. In this pull down, we made this high that brought you towards a new low. If we're gonna break this, your rotation towards this high is likely, and from there you can continue your trend. So Meta is pretty easy. I'm looking for a break on this level. If we're gonna get a break on this level, I'm gonna look at local zones to put in an order for a trade towards the new highs. So that is Meta. Apple. Everybody's favorite phone brand. Alright, what is happening on Apple? Really interesting thing happening right now. I don't know if anyone is familiar with the power of 3, but this is your range on Apple. A power of 3 consists of 3 phases: the range phase, the manipulation phase, and your expansion phase. On Apple, this can be your manipulation phase, and right now we can be in our expansion phase, indicating we can try to trade towards new all-time highs again. We got a bounce from a really nice demand zone right here, and from there we started trending up again, creating new high lows and higher highs. And right now I'm just looking to enter a continuation trade on Apple because we are probably in this power of 3 model and I want to trade towards new all-time highs. What is interesting to look at right now? Right here we got our confirmation on the daily time frame with this break of structure that we can expect a rotation towards the all-time high. So we're just looking for a high-low entry towards a new high. If we're gonna gain this high, put in a new high-low, rinse and repeat, trade above this high. Just basic market structure, but really powerful. Right now, we're creating this higher high. We made an equals. Equals can sometimes mean we need more liquidity from the lows before we can continue the up move. Of course, an imbalance like this already is liquidity. In combination with this old high, which is the most aggressive way for the market to continue the trend, we can maybe already expect a bounce right here, and we can look for a lower time frame entry. This is the first PY zone. If this is not enough, we have a small liquidity trail build up here. Maybe a quick sweep right here, and then a gain on the lower time frame to continue the trend. And if not, and this is also the place I would like to enter the trade the most, is this demand zone. Why? If you look to the left, it is a big support and resistance zone. You can see the interaction on this level, and it is also the last place before we got our break of structure where the sellers tried to push price down, but they couldn't, and the buyers finally took over. So this is also a really interesting level to look at. But if we're really bullish on Apple right now and we want to continue our trend, this is the most likely place we can do that, and otherwise we can maybe sweep this liquidity and continue the move. So that are the PY zones on Apple really. Once again, if anybody in the live stream has a chart request, feel free to drop them in the chat. Crypto, stocks, gold, other indices, Nasdaq once again, it doesn't matter, I will analyze it for you. And if nobody has a chart request, I will enter stream, go eat some lunch and then head to the gym. I'll wait a quick little second and alright. Someone came in clutch asking for a Bitcoin analysis. Alright. Let me start at the higher time frame. Let's hide this because this is all noise in our chart. Make it in a group and hide it. There we go. Bitcoin. Liquidity hunt of the all-time high. And from there, on the daily, we broke structure to bearish. Maybe even 3-day, yeah. We got a bearish break of structure, change of character, how you want to call it. So Bitcoin is down until proven otherwise, and we are expecting a lower high for a new lower low. Of course, if we are going to look at our weekly, we are still up, and we expect a new higher low for a new higher high. So this 3-day break of structure to the downside, bearish, can just mean the market needs more liquidity from the lows before we can continue our weekly / monthly trend towards new highs again. For that we have to zoom in and look for pivot points where we can maybe expect to put in that higher low. On the daily, we have this really nice demand zone, and we still have this structure pool that we front ran right here. This was the last structure pool we had, apart from this one, but really clean structure pool we had before making new all-time highs. As you can see, we front ran it, so for me, this is still an interesting place for the market to maybe put in a higher low to continue our weekly and monthly trend. And of course, we have this zone. I see I have put in this 8 hour. Yeah, just a demand we front ran before once again create new all-time highs. An interesting zone to look at as well. Right now we made equals from the last liquidity we had before this big expansion up. These equals can mean we need more liquidity from the highs before we can take them out. I see right now we have equals on these highs as well. And we are building up nice liquidity on the lows. Let's get our drawings back because we're getting in the local picture and there are a couple of relevant things I want to point out. Get rid of this. We are in a downtrend. So we draw in our range from low to high. As you can see, the range low is here. Let me get rid of this. Get rid of this. Our range low is here in combination with the equals, and our range high is over there. What can this mean? With this building up liquidity, it can mean we can deviate the high once, taking out this liquidity right here, come down, tap into our extreme supply or extreme liquidity and create a short from there, or deviate the high once more and create a short from there. This is just our range model we like to trade. I'm not gonna get too in depth into that because it is too much value to give away right here, but it is a range to watch. And then if you zoom in, we also have this lower time frame range. Our lower time frame trend is up, and in an uptrend we draw in our range from high to low. So as you can see by the dotted lines, this is your range high and this is your range low. As you can see, in correlation with this higher time frame range, on this lower time frame range, we already deviated the high ones. What can this mean? Let's extend the range because we have a deviation. In combination with this higher time frame range, if we are gonna deviate this high once again, right here, come down, tap into our extreme supply or extreme liquidity, also giving us a confirmation on a higher time frame range, we can trade towards these lows. We have a really nice short trigger. If this higher time frame range, because we don't have any taps on our higher time frame range right now, let me get rid of this dot right now really quick. That is not gonna happen, I see. Alright. Because this higher time frame range doesn't have any deviations yet, it can also mean we can leave open our higher time frame range high, tap into the extreme supply of this lower time frame range, also indicating that market makers are filling up their orders. We can trade towards all the liquidity we have been building up right here, and maybe even the lows at this point. And then start deviating the lows on our higher time frame range because we're also building up liquidity on the highs, start deviating the lows on our higher time frame range in combination with your weekly trend, it can mean that from there we can create a bottom to trade towards all this liquidity on the highs and maybe even put in a new all-time high on Bitcoin. It is still down until proven otherwise, so it would be a really nice scenario on Bitcoin if we are gonna get this short into your higher time frame range long with the potential of running it towards new all-time highs. But of course, for the long, your technical target will be this range high. So for Bitcoin right now, we can get some local plays with this lower time frame range. We can get the short, and then on the higher time frame, we can maybe create a long. So Bitcoin is looking really nicely, lower time frame and high time frame. It is just time will tell us right now, and patience is key. The POI zones are mapped out. So let's set in alerts and then react when the alerts go off. We're not here to predict, we are here to react and enter our trades on local confirmations. So once again, we have been live for almost 50 minutes right now. If nobody has a chart request, I'm gonna do one more chart request. Then I really have to get some lunch and I wanna head to the gym. So feel free to put in the request. Oh yeah, one more thing on Bitcoin. And another confluence in combination with our lower time frame and higher time frame range we have right now. I also pointed this out on, was it Apple? I think it was Apple, yes? Yes, it was an Apple. Once again, we can have this power of 3, this being our range. Let's extend it a bit. This right now being our manipulation. Yeah, like this. And then from there, we can maybe get our expansion. So on Bitcoin, it isn't confirmed, of course, but in combination with everything that I explained right here, it can be our beginning of the power 3 towards new all-time highs. Really interesting chart. If you really want to understand price action, range trading, demand, supply, liquidity, whatever, you really have to study Bitcoin and join our Discord, because there is a lot of value in there as well. We share our thoughts on the market every day. We can analyze your chart requests when you have them in the moment. If you have a chart request when we are not live, you can just put it in the Discord and we will send you the charts. So you will be updated in real time, of course. We also have free education for the Discord members only. It is not public information about the things I just talked about with range trading, my range in my supply and demands I put in, the way I look at liquidity, the way I look at price action. So if you are interested in that, there is a link in the description, but I will also put in a link in the chat so you can join from there. And then that will be the last thing I'm gonna talk about right now, and I'm gonna end the stream. There we go. It is also in the description. So if you want to join a community with like-minded traders, completely free, no strings attached, join the Discord community. I would love to see you there. And this will be the live stream for today. And I will see you in the next one. Ciao!